Hey guys, Electro Ninja here, and welcome back to Electro Ninja's Lab. This video is being recorded about a week in advance, so yeah, I just recorded the SEO language thing, so I haven't seen any of your comments yet. Today we will be talking about Zanderly Kundleric and who she was, and why her name has been now a curse word in SEO. Before this video continues, if you are a child, this is not a good video for you to watch. Zanderly Kundleric was a monster. Just know that before watching this video. And if you don't feel comfortable knowing about this stuff, then back away from this video right now, because it is a very, very dark episode of book culture. Just know that she was a monster. Okay, has everyone left that was going to stay? Good. Okay. So who was Zanderly Kundleric? Zanderly Kundleric was the last of the Kundlerics, which were the first few kings and queens of a specific race in the elemental multiverse known only as the Claw. Their main symbol is the letter C in SEO, which is basically just a claw with 4 fingers and a dot in the middle of the. So, yeah. The Kundlerics were a group of 3 major people. There were only, like I said, there were only 3 of them ever. The first 2 were, of course, the first king and queen, which became King Kundleric and Queen Kundleric. They had a daughter and named her Zanderly, which Zanderly is actually still a common name in the elemental multiverse, along with its male version, Zonderlu. But Zonderlu is a little bit more common than Zonderly because of the fact that people don't want their children to end up like Zonderly. However, back then, it was a lot more common than it is now. A lot of humans that you guys will be meeting in the future, if you read the Sting's Adventures, were actually named Zonderly. So there is that. Lots of old people. But what happened exactly? So the king and queen Kundleric had many children, but Zonderly was somewhere in the middle, which is why it's kind of confusing why she became queen. While the history for the rest of the universe doesn't actually know this, in the books it will actually be explained that Zonderly refused to let any of her siblings ever take the crown, and actually ended up murdering all of them. She wanted to keep the crown forever. So she killed off every single one of her siblings and made sure to make it look like an accident. When she reached the age of 13, she murdered her parents and became, since nobody knew what happened, she became queen of the Claw. Now, keep in mind that when she went on her first murdering spree was around the same time that Black Cat first appeared. So that's something to just keep in mind. He hadn't yet started amassing his army. He hadn't started darkening any of the planets. He had just become who he was. He was the first. He had already gained the Dark Blade, but that was it. So keep that in mind for timing. She became queen and pretended to be sad for the first few weeks. Then she took a husband and had many children with him. However, it was the king that she had taken eventually found out what had happened to a lot of the children, because it was assumed by everyone that these children had simply were just not fit and could not survive, so they all died. However, he found out very shortly afterwards, about when she turned 18, that she had had her top chef kill and then cook all of the children for her and her friends. And no one knew. Except, of course, the first king. At which point she claimed that he had betrayed her and burned him at the stake in front of everyone. She then took up her next husband. This continued for 5 husbands that she had. And each one lasted about 5 years. So keep that in mind. Claw also, before I continue, Claw are actually able to have their children in about a month, even if they have multiple children in one litter. So that's an important, just keep that in mind as we're going through this. And she was having a lot of children, so Zanderly then decided that she was going to continue to do this. On her 6th husband, though, he found out about this a bit earlier, because his brother had been one of her previous people, and he had done some research beforehand. And although he didn't want to become the new king, he did. He then asked one of the maidservants to save their first child, which was a boy. She then took the child and saved him from his terrible life. Then, after about 10 years, the boy found out who he was, and found out that he was the only survivor of the Kundleric family. Zanderly was still going strong. Black Cat reign was actually pretty strong at the time. The war was in full swing. And he decided that he was no longer going to let this slide, and decided to eliminate the queen. He then formed an entire army and never told them what his name was. He took up the name of his mother, who was the maid to the previous queen, and he became known as Jean Collain. So that's an important thing. The Collain family is actually the one that continued for all the way up until Sting's adventures. So that's an important thing to keep in mind. So Jean Collain went with his new army that now knew what the queen had been doing, and decreed war on her. Now, she had secretly also been giving away a lot of her own people to the Changenoids, as well as several of the other races to eat, and basically she was supplying the Dark Empire so that she would never be taken. However, she had also given Black Cat one of her children to become, well, actually 2 of her children, so that they would be able to make an army of Darkened Claw eventually to wipe out the rest of the universe. So, yeah. Those 2 have never been heard from again, so don't worry about that. You'll find out about what happened to them years from now. But the army of the Claw attacked the capital, eliminating all of the guards and informing that those that wanted now knew what was going on, decided to help in the battle. Anyone who now knew wanted to eliminate the queen. And of course, they did defeat her. After defeating her, they spread word about what had happened throughout the rest of the universe. And no one was happy. Jean then became the new king and continued the rest of his life serving the rest of the kingdoms to serve the light. However, he asked one request, that his people be kept out of the war until his people had recovered from this evil queen, which meant that the Claw actually left the war up until about 100 years before the end of the war, which is an important thing to just keep in mind, that he was dead by the time that the universe war came about. The universe war came to an end. But he has then been remembered for many years, and is one of the reasons why so many characters in the books are going to be actually named John, which is Jahn. So, definitely some interesting things. So now you guys know about who Zanderly Kundleric was, why she became a curse word, and also why Jean is one of the most common names now. So, hopefully you guys enjoyed this, even if it was very dark. Hopefully you guys never have to learn more about what had happened. I will be actually explaining what happened in a book in the future, about what happened actually completely with Zanderly Kundleric and the rest of the kingdoms during the time of, well, the war. So hopefully you guys will actually understand that. But it's needless to say, the story is darker than even I explained. She actually, just as one of the worst people in our history is Nero, and she puts him to shame. So keep that in mind. But anyways, guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please leave a like. If you hated this video, please let me know, actually, in the comments. Don't leave a like on this. And if you don't want this series to continue, then I completely understand. But don't worry, none of the other book culture series are going to be anywhere near this dark, except for maybe when I start talking about the demons in Demon Detective. But that's beside the point. Anyways, guys, if you enjoyed this video, please leave a like. I will be surprised if this video gets any likes. If you have any complaints, then leave them in the comments. I'll read them. And if you are new, please subscribe and ring that notification bell, because you'll be able to get a lot better series than that. Anyways, guys, I've been Electro Ninja, and I will see you guys in the next video. But on.